I was truly under the impression that the Trump presidency hit rock bottom on Sunday when he posted, "You open the effing straits, you bastards, or you're going to be living through hell." It turned out I was wrong because just this morning Donald Trump posted, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again." I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionary wonderful can happen, who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. You know, every time when I'm thinking Donald Trump hit rock bottom, something like this shows up, and we should all be, shocked. But I guess the reality is, and the sad truth is, we aren't. The Iranian people obviously responded right away. All of that we're gonna look into today. My name is Manuel. I'm German. I'm living in the US for the last 9 years. And if you appreciate an inside look into US politics with an outsider's perspective, please subscribe to the channel. But it turns out that we're not the only ones who have a great social media team at the White House, where they love to create those banger memes, how they call it. The Iranian government is also capable of doing great social media footage. So here's a video that Iran posted in response to Donald Trump's threats this morning.
در صورت عملی شدن تهدیدات آمریکا در خصوص نیروگاه‌های ایران بلافاصله اقدامات تنبیهی انجام خواهد شد. همه نیروگاه‌های برق، زیرساخت‌های انرژی و فناوری اطلاعات رژیم صهیونیستی و شرکت‌های مشابه در منطقه که سهامدار آمریکایی دارند به طور کامل تخریب خواهند شد. برای دفاع از کشور و منافع ملت خود دست به هر کاری خواهیم زد.
We all know the phrase, "Whoever pays the band picks the song," and I guess Iran realized if we don't have intercontinental missiles that can hit the US, we're just going to hit them where it hurts them the most, which is in their wallets. And we saw a long list of people who paid for the band in the video, meaning all people who contributed to Donald Trump's re-election financially in hope of less corporate taxes and less government regulations. And Iran already said, like, we will retaliate by bombing infrastructure in the region that these companies are invested in. So we will see how that goes tonight. Unfortunately, the entire thing makes me a little nervous, but I guess the only thing we can do is sit here and wait. I mean, Donald Trump already blew through a bunch of, deadlines, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's gonna blow through this one tonight as well. But now I want to, jump over to a bunch of clips from Donald Trump's Easter press conference at the White House, and like the first one I saw got me a little confused. What you can see here is two individuals on a balcony. One was, way closer to the Nobel Peace Prize than the other, and the other one is the President of the United States.
I don't think it gets much more hostile than Iran. They're capable fighters. They're very tough people. And there are others like that. You don't mind when the enemy is weak, but that enemy is strong. Not so strong like they were about a month ago. I can tell you, in fact, right now, they're not too strong at all, in my opinion, but we're soon going to find out, aren't we?
One thing I truly appreciate out of this administration is the real consistent messaging. The war is militarily won. I appreciate my enemy's weak, but this enemy is strong, but he isn't as strong as he was 4 weeks ago. Totally coherent, totally consistent. But Donald Trump also used the event to do one of the things he loves doing the most, which is bashing on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden by asking a bunch of families that brought their children to the White House in hope of a nice sunny, Easter Christian holiday to ask them stuff like this.
How did I do with the voters that do eggs?
Awesome.
Did you say 100% or 99%?
100%.
Did anybody in the egg industry vote for Kamala? A low IQ person. She's a low IQ person. Who's the lower IQ person, Biden or Kamala?
It's close.
That's probably the toughest question. That's a tough question.
Yeah, nothing to see. Totally normal for the President of the United States to first ask how many people in the ag industry voted for him, 100% or 99%, and then, have a survey among families asking who's the lower IQ individual, Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. So totally normal, right? And but that, of course, wasn't the only time during that event where Donald Trump made sure that he took a jab against Joe Biden. Like, he also said he had a conversation with Kim Jong-un, and they both agreed that, Joe Biden is mentally retarded.
Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice.
Well, I'm glad we have great relationships with authoritarian dictators around the world while simultaneously bashing our friends and allies. But let me take South Korea under my wing here for a second. In 2023, South Korea wanted to support Ukraine and support Ukraine's war efforts against Russia or their defense against Russia. Unfortunately, South Korea has a law that prohibits them from sending ammunition into a war zone. So they basically reached out to us and said, hey, United States, would you be so kind to send ammunition to Ukraine on our behalf, and in exchange for that we're going to replenish your stockpile in the US. So that was basically South Korea's go around to help supporting Ukraine and help us replenish our ammunition stockpile. So I would say they did help us, but in the next clip Donald Trump got asked if he has a plan, and of course he says he has one. Just following up in the next clip, basically being asked what the plan is, saying I don't know.
I saw somebody said, oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. They want me to say, here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to... And if you don't do that, they say, I have a plan. These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is.
Messaging on the war has moved from the war is coming to an end to war going to be bombing Iran to the Stone Ages. Right. And we've heard a range of those kind of messages. So which is it? Are you winding this down, or are you escalating? I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you. Depends what they do. This is a critical period.
I have a plan, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. But everybody in my administration knows what the plan is. Every one of these people here, that work for me knows, what the plan is. But while your messaging has shifted from the war is almost over to we're going to bomb Iran back into the Stone Ages. So which one is it? Well, I don't know. It's depending on what Iran is doing next, right? Like, does that sound somebody like who's in control of his destiny and knows what the long-term goal here is? Doesn't sound like it to me. I think it was 1 or 2 days ago when Donald Trump said that capturing Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela was one of the best business decisions the US has ever done. There would be so much oil coming to us. We are making so much money with that oil from Venezuela that he also said yesterday he would love to take Iran's oil also. However, he did like the idea to use the Strait of Hormuz and ask, ships that want to go through there for passage. So basically, why would we allow Iran to take the Strait hostage and cripple the global economy if we could do that ourselves?
Are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the Strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them run. Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right? No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us. Go ahead.
You guys heard it, like there's already a plan in the drawer how we can turn the Strait of Hormuz into a toll road. I guess every like oil tanker and ship gets one of those easy passes that they need to hang under their, front window, and then every time they're gonna go through the strait, they're gonna automatically be billed like 27 cents or something, like who knows. But that was a weird statement to make, I thought. And then last but not least, like the easiest way to get Donald Trump off the podium and end a press conference is to remind him that he doesn't like NATO, he didn't get Greenland, and also ask him about increased gas prices for American citizens.
He's a great person, but he's got, and it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us, and I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
President, what about rising gas prices for Americans who are concerned?
Donald Trump just doesn't like to get asked anymore about, oil prices and the problems that ordinary Americans face every day. So no response there. But from the Republican side in general, they did what they usually do after Donald Trump has an insane meltdown on Truth Social. They took what the president wrote and tried to translate it into, ordinary language for ordinary people, trying to say that the president speaks, metaphorically, and we shouldn't take it seriously and should understand the underlying message. It's kind of sad in 2026 that we have to do that we can't just take the president of the United States by his own word, but I guess, that's where we are as a country. So I brought you a clip from CNN with a Republican congressman from New York State, my state. So I'm just hoping everybody can see this. And how do they say in Game of Thrones, the North remembers. So I hope when it comes to re-election for this gentleman, we are going to remember what he said today. But here's the clip from CNN.
Okay, the new threat from the president is that a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. You say the president doesn't want to do it. Does being reluctant to end a civilization make it okay?
Again, I don't think we're talking about ending a civilization. The issue.
So you don't
at
believe?
hand
You
is
don't
their,
believe? Are you saying you don't believe? Congressman, do you say you don't believe the president's threat? Do you say you don't believe the president's threat?
Infrastructure. It is their energy infrastructure and their civilian infrastructure, including roads and bridges. That will cripple the Iranian regime and certainly their economy. That is not something we want to do because, as Ron Johnson said rightly, we are not at war with the Iranian people. We want them to be free from this oppression and tyranny that they have lived under for 47 years. But if the president has to take necessary action to strike their energy and infrastructure, that is going to cripple the regime. That is what he is talking about.
You don't believe a threat. You don't take him at his word that he will end a whole civilization.
He is talking about the energy and civilian infrastructure. That's what he's talking about, John.
Is he? Have you had a conversation with him about that? He says, never to be brought back again. He just means the bridges and the infrastructure?
Again, John, we're talking about taking decisive action against Iran's energy and civilian infrastructure. That is what the president is talking about. He's not talking about obliterating innocent people.
Yeah, you guys heard it. We should be okay. We're not planning on taking out and killing an entire civilization. The only thing we actually plan on doing is committing war crimes by bombing civilian infrastructure like roads, bridges, and, the electrical power grid. So totally normal, totally sane. And let's just hope Donald Trump does what he usually does tonight by blowing through another deadline so we can live on another day. But I thank you guys for watching today, and I hope to see you on the next one.